back to MG Midget, birth of a race car, capturing my journey from car restoration to the 2022 MG Car Club Speed Series. In this episode we're going to be fitting the flip front. So in part one of this video we focused on preparing the flip front, cutting all the right holes into it, getting it ready. So now in part two we're actually going to mount the front to the car. In order to fit the flip front, what I've done is come here off the toe bracket mountings. I've drilled straight through and mounted up this fitting kit that I have here. It's very simple construction. It's two flat plates, a bar welded through, a bar over the top that pivots over the top of it, and then two welded brackets here that can attach to the fiberglass front, and that's going to have to be riveted on. To make sure I've got a secure fitting, what I've done is drilled and tapped into the back. So we've got a 9/16 bolt on there, and I've taken a bolt all the way through, and we've got a nut on the other side to capture that there. What that's enabled me to do is put the towing bracket on the front, so this is going to be my tow rack as well. So I've done the same on the other side. We've got that mounted up on here, so we've got our pivot mechanism here. So next up we've got to dry fit the flip front and see how it connects to this bracket. Okay, so first fit up, and it's clear that the flip front is fouling in quite a few areas, not least the front wheel arches. So I'm going to have to trim the lips off those. Then around the front, getting it up on my mounting bracket, we've got the lip on the inside here which would foul the bracket, so I'm going to need to take the flip front off and measure up to cut the fiberglass back a little bit to get that to fit. So let's get on with those two jobs first, and then we can have a go at fitting it up again. So that's the arches off. Taken the lip off the arch, so the flip front should go over that without a problem. And what I've done with the flip front is cut two arches, marked it up where the centre is, and then mounted the bracket. And with the bracket, what I've had to do is just put a bend using the vise to do that. That's not been too much of a problem to match it to the flip front. So that's ready for trying out on the car, and if that fits nicely there, what I'll do is drill the holes then and put some rivets through to hold it to the bodywork, and my intention is then to fiberglass over the top to make sure it can't go anywhere. So let's offer it up. Another little tip is I've got some 16mm 5/8 square bar. I happen to have it from reinforcing the doors, and it's a perfect fit for this channel up at the top. So what I've done is cut some lengths for the middle and one either side, and just tap that into the channel, and it puts it at a perfect height. So the gap here is the gap of the moulding. So in theory the moulding should fit fairly flush, and it'll rest on top of this metal here, so it'll hold its shape a little bit better, not just fall into the channel. So I'm going to try that for fitting as well. Hopefully that might work for you as well. So that's the front mounted up now. What I'm doing is using some strong tape here to just hold it in position. I've got a line around here. What I'm doing is keeping this line straight down here, so I know that it's hard up against the bodywork here. Trying to keep an even line around this edge here. Across on the other side, got a similar kind of thing. Got my best fit around this radius. Got a bit of a gap here, but being a fiberglass moulding, not convinced there's really anything I can do about that. It does come down and is fairly flush here, and we've got a good gap along the bottom. Underneath at the front, here's my mounting bracket. It's actually a lot further back than I assumed it would be. The bodywork, when it's up against the bulkhead, is very, very close actually to the main chassis frame here, so there's not a great deal of movement for this bracket. What I'm going to have to do is trim into the body here to allow the bracket to come forward even more, so that I can get the rivets onto the front and to mount up it up to the bracket. So what I'm going to do now is marking that up, and then I'm going to have to take this bracket off, trim the bodywork so that it will come forward, and then I can begin the final markup of this bracket onto the bodywork here. Okay, so closing the clamshell up, got it now mounted on the front. It's fairly tight here. There's a bit of a gap here. It's not a perfect fit by any stretch, but with a clamp on the side in the middle there, that will pull that side in, and over this side got a fairly big gap there. That's probably about 5 mil, something like that. That's quite large, but then it comes down and it's tight on the bottom. So I think we're approaching something of a best fit now, given the fiberglass. So what I'm going to do now is start to have a look at the hinges that we can attach here to clamp it to the side. So for the flip front side, I'm going to use some of these brackets here, fairly widely available. I've gone for the locking ones, but in principle there's a post that will stick through the side bulkhead, come through this gap here, and then as you clamp it shut, it'll clamp into the bolt. So as you push it tight, it'll go tight, and that'll just sit on the side of the bodywork, so it should look quite smart. So that's the first of the 2 locking mechanisms bolted up. So what I did is have to look through the hole and with a scribe mark on the inner wing where the post sticking out is, mark that up and then drill that into place, and then put that there. A little bit of a gap here, but I'll put some foam strip along there just to seal that, and that'll get that little bit of friction as well, will help keep this bit of lower bodywork in place. So on to the next side now. Okay, so now the one is on the other side. Again, we'll put a bit of a foam strip on there just to get a good seal. Overall, underneath the window, certainly fiberglass is never going to win any concourse awards. The gaps are quite variable, but certainly for what I'm going to be doing, I think they'll be fine. What I also did was put some small stainless Sidel screws into my metal brackets that I put into the channels, and the purpose of those is so that the fiberglass moulding actually sits at the back of these, so when I rock it over, it holds it in place, as with the weight of the clamshell on, it tends to rock forward. So this just helps the mounting and the closing, so I found that quite useful. Okay, so now with the front flipped up, you're going to be able to see a lot more. So you can see here, what I've got here is the mounting screwed through the side wall here, and that's what the pin in the side clip is going through. If we have a closer look at the clip, you can see it's screwed in with 6 screws, and as I operate the latch, the pin comes down, and that's what secures the side onto the bodywork. If we have a look at the flip itself, you can see here the bracket mounted up to the chassis. We've got it pop riveted onto the front clamshell. It goes across and into the second bracket there. So when you lift it up, it pivots on the bar that goes across the front. So what I'm going to do to give this some extra strength now is fiberglass over this bracket and seal in the rivets, and that'll also give the bracket a little bit of extra strength here across the front. What I'm also going to do is fiberglass in some wood so that I can screw in some P-clips in order to hold all the wiring that's going to go from the lights across to the other lights, because of course that will join this loom here, and I'm going to have to put a quick release connector into the loom here so that I can remove the clamshell with the lights when necessary. So I'm going to give that a go, and if I find there's any unnecessary movement or in the clamshell, I may end up having to put a few more securing clips on, but for the moment I'm going to try that. So next thing to do on the clamshell, because we've already cut the grill, the light holes, is to remove that again, and we've got to get that ready for a coat of paint.